As part of this subcommittee's continued efforts to perform our oversight functions of the State Department and of the Iranian nuclear negotiations, we're convening this hearing to take a look at the state's compliance with the Iran, North Korea, and Syria Non-Proliferation Act, known by its acronym INCSNA. INCSNA, by state's own admission, is an extremely important and effective tool to address the threat of the proliferation of weapons of mass destruction, WMD, and ballistic missiles. It could be even more effective if we pass an updated version like the INCSNA Modernization Act that I authored in 2011, which passed the House overwhelmingly with a vote of 418 to 2. This law requires that the President, who has delegated the authorities in INCSNA to the State Department, to provide a report to our committee every 6 months, identifying individuals who are believed to have sent or received certain items or technology from Iran, North Korea, or Syria. These individuals would then be subject to specific sanctions as detailed in the law. Well, the GAO office, Government Accountability Office, was asked by Chairman Royce to examine the implementation of INCSA by the State Department, to review its reporting process and identify the impact of that process on the imposition of sanctions against the Iranian regime. What the GAO found was that the State Department has been extremely delayed in providing the requisite reports to Congress. Of the 18 legislatively mandated reports that the department was to issue to date, it has only issued 6 of these reports. The latest report we received was not only late, it took state almost 3 years to prepare the 2011 report that we received in December 2014, but this report sat awaiting approval on the Deputy Secretary of State's desk for over a year. Can you follow that? So it took state almost 3 years to prepare the 2011 report. We received it in December 2014, but the report sat awaiting approval for over a year. So state reportedly told GAO that one of the major causes for delay is the vetting process of the individual cases. Each cycle, state has unilaterally made the decision to package cases together. That's the problem, and move them through the process at the same time. So what ends up happening is if we have one problematic case, well, that case can hold up the process for all of the other cases. Instead of pulling that case aside for processing in the next cycle, state holds up the entire package until all cases have been cleared, thus holding up indefinitely the sanctions on all of these individuals. Because remember, it's not just a report. We want to know who is being sanctioned. So while we're waiting and waiting and waiting, no one is getting sanctioned. While we're waiting for an entire group to be processed because of one problematic case, we're allowing these other individuals to continue to help Iran, to continue to help North Korea, to continue to help Syria, and they'll skirt sanctions and proliferate weapons of mass destruction. This is a huge blow to the intent of the sanctions and their effectiveness, as well as a huge blow to our national security. But let's look at the timeline of the last report for a moment. We received the report, as I said, in December 2014. It sat on the desk for over a year. In November 2013, President Obama announced that the P5+1 had reached an agreement with Iran, and we were ready to implement the joint plan of action while they continued to pursue a final agreement. If we connect the dots, the administration had actionable intelligence and a legal obligation, let's not forget that, to sign off on the report and sanction these individuals. But the administration sat on this. They did not file a report, and the administration did not sanction these individuals. This flies in the face of all of the times that the president and the folks that we know have said that the U.S. will continue to fully enforce all of the sanctions on Iran while the negotiations were ongoing. That's what the administration says. What they're doing is quite differently. Each and every one of these times, they knew that this was less than truthful. The reporting requirements of the law is clear. State is required to submit INCSNA reports to Congress every 6 months, yet the State Department took it upon itself to ignore this requirement. The requirement is not a suggestion, it is the law. And as the Iran nuclear negotiations continue, we're also left to wonder what other sanctions is the administration not enforcing that it should or that it must. We already had the recent report from the UN panel of experts that said that the U.S. and other nations were not reporting Iran's sanctions violations to the Sanctions Committee. Ambassador Power was here in this very room yesterday, and I asked her about that, and she too stated the administration has been above water, has been fully enforcing all of the sanctions. But when it comes to the nuclear negotiations and Iran, I'm more inclined to believe that the administration is purposely misleading Congress and is in fact not following the intent and letter of the law. This GAO report should be just the tip of the iceberg, and I commend Director Melito and his team for their hard work in putting together this report. Thank you.